The silent flame, the void Anna no longer felt. Grief had drained her colors, as if the world had lost its light. Her daughter, Clara, was gone 2 years ago, taken by an illness that spared no mercy. With her, Anna lost more than a part of herself. She lost the prayers that once filled her days, the hymns that comforted her in the dark nights, the faith that guided her like a lighthouse. All that remained was silence, a silence so heavy it seemed to suffocate her. Anna carried an unlit candle, as if holding an echo of what once was, a symbol of something she no longer knew how to rekindle. She asked herself, day after day, why God had left her. Why, when she needed him most, did the words that once sustained her feel empty? Anna remembered the nights she prayed with Clara, their hands clasped, speaking to a God who felt so near. Now, that God seemed distant, as if he had turned his back. Grief wasn't just the absence of Clara. It was the absence of meaning, of purpose, of hope. Anna walked through days that felt the same, gray and lifeless, with a void growing inside her. She tried to recall what it was like to feel warmth, to feel alive. But every memory of Clara brought pain, like a knife cutting deeper with each recollection. Anna wondered if she would ever hear God again, if she would ever find a reason to go on. Silence was her only companion, and it offered no answers. Anna gripped the unlit candle tightly, as if by holding it, she could bring back what she had lost. But the flame wouldn't come. The match trembled in her hands, and the darkness seemed to win. Why the silence? Why the pain? Anna didn't understand. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but her voice was lost in the void. Grief had swallowed her, and she didn't know how to escape. Yet, somewhere deep inside, a small part of her refused to give up. Maybe it was just stubbornness. Maybe it was something more. Anna didn't know. But without realizing it, she kept carrying that candle, as if hoping, against all odds, that the light might return. The inner forest Anna didn't know where she was going. Each step felt heavier, as if the ground was pulling her down. Grief was an endless forest, a place where the trees were made of thorns and the shadows swallowed any trace of light. She wandered aimlessly, lost in her thoughts, in her pain. God's voices, once so clear, were now just distant echoes, if they existed at all. Anna tried to remember what it was like to hear, to believe, but everything felt so far away, so unreachable. She tried to shout, to pray, to find something to pull her out of that abyss, but the words dissolved before they left her lips. Anna recalled the time she threw her Bible to the floor in frustration, or the nights she cried alone, avoiding friends, family, anyone who tried to reach her. Pain isolated her, as if she had chosen to live in that dark forest, where no one could find her. But even in the darkness, something called to her. A faint light, flickering in the distance, like a star refusing to fade. Anna hesitated. Was it just another illusion? How many times had she chased false hopes, only to find more emptiness? Yet, something inside her pulled her toward that light. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe it was desperation. She didn't know. But her feet began to move, one step at a time, carrying the unlit candle, as if she still believed something could change. The forest felt alive, but not in a comforting way. The trees whispered painful memories. Clara's laughter, the days in the hospital, the promises Anna made and couldn't keep. Each step was a battle, each memory a heavier burden. But the light in the distance remained, small but persistent. Anna didn't know if she could trust it, but for the first time in a long time, she felt something beyond pain. It was fragile, almost imperceptible, but it was there. A whisper of hope, an invitation to keep going. The encounter in the darkness of the forest, Anna met a stranger. An old man with eyes that seemed to carry centuries of truth, as if he knew more than words could ever express. He held a lit candle, and its light seemed to warm the air around him. He looked at Aina and asked with a calm and steady voice, "Why? Do you carry an unlit candle?" Aina felt anger rise, mixed with tears she didn't want to shed. "Because I don't know how to light it," she replied. "Because God abandoned me when I needed him most." The old man smiled, not with pity, but with an understanding that seemed to pierce her soul. "The flame was never in the candle," he said. "It's in you, but you need to stop running to hear it." Aina didn't understand. How could there be a flame inside her when all she felt was cold? But the old man continued, his voice like a beacon in the darkness. "God isn't in the answers you demand. He's in the silences you fear. Faith isn't a shout that echoes in the void. It's a whisper that's always been there, waiting for you to listen." Aina remembered moments she had forgotten. The time she helped a stranger, even when she was broken. The night she prayed with Clara, feeling a peace she couldn't explain. The small acts of love she offered, even without realizing it. The old man said Aina's flame had never gone out, only hidden, covered by pain, fear, and anger. He challenged her to look within, to find the light that still burned, even if small, even if fragile. For the first time, Aina felt something shift. It wasn't a clear answer. It wasn't a solution to her grief. It was something subtler, deeper. A warmth began to grow inside her, like a flame that didn't need explanations, only space to exist. The old man vanished, but his words lingered, echoing in the silence Aina had once feared. And for the first time, that silence didn't feel empty. It felt full of possibilities. The light rediscovered, Aina didn't find all the answers. Grief was still there, like a scar that never fully fades. But she found something new, a flame that doesn't explain, only warms. In the silence that once terrified her, Aina heard God again. It wasn't a loud voice, not a grand revelation. It was a whisper, gentle and constant, reminding her she was never alone. The pain of losing Clara didn't vanish, but Aina learned to carry it differently. Every memory, every tear, every moment of despair now belonged to a larger story. A story of healing, of faith, of hope. The candle Aina carried now glowed, not because the world had changed, but because she had changed. The light within her was a beacon, not just for her, but for others walking in darkness. Lost in their own forests of pain, Aina realized faith wasn't about having all the answers. It was about trusting, even when the path isn't clear. It was about finding beauty in silence, strength in weakness, hope in pain. She walked now with a purpose she couldn't explain, but felt in every heartbeat. The flame she carried was small, but enough. And by sharing it, she lit the world around her. Have you felt the silence? Have you walked through a forest where hope seems so far away? Don't give up. Your flame is still there, waiting to be seen, waiting to shine. Sacred Soul Flames is about these stories, about finding light in darkness, healing in pain, faith in silence. Join us to rekindle your hope, to discover that even in the darkest moments, you are never alone.